Mm-hmm. Let's get this party started. All right. So we've got the stream going. Everything's tracking. It's 8 o'clock. You know what time it is. Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Corvus Cast. My name's Tim, your host, where I'm not particularly attractive. The jokes aren't really that funny. They don't land a lot. And we just talk about made-up things. If you're just showing up or you just came in here, I want to say thank you. I appreciate you for showing up and coming and giving me your time. There's a lot of things that are going on in the future of Corvus Saber Foundry. I just don't know exactly how to get to it yet. But we'll get to it in the cast. If you are joining me from Facebook world or from any of the other places where I post up, welcome, Discord, etc. If you're not part of the Discord, you should join the Discord. I don't have the link. I need to add that to the production thing to get into the chat for you guys. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can get you an invite to the link here. Let me get invite link. Excuse me. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. I got a link. Here's the button. Use the copy button. It's going into the chat right now. Bam. Here's the Discord invite. If you guys want to come over to the murder, come join the murder and the roost. We talk about lightsaber stuff all the time. I got a devs and release channel. Got a bunch of different places for you guys to talk about all kinds of things. Excuse me while I get adjusted here. Like I said, lots of stuff going on, lots of things happening. I'm kind of trolling both the live chat as well as a little bit of the let's see, the live chat for YouTube as well as the Discord. So be bopping back and forth around in a couple of different things. I really don't have a lot of stuff planned. I came down here about 30 minutes early to try and get a plan put together for what to talk about. And for the first time in probably a year now, I've lost train of thought on some of this. And only because I've just had a lot of stuff going on with the family lately. And so it's not really losing a focus. It's just my brain isn't 100% engaged in this conversation right now, exactly. And so I'm trying to make that better and try and figure out some things to talk about. But the first thing is, the first and number one, first and foremost, is we just released 2 new parts through June and July. That first part was the grenade grip, which you can see here attached in this space. And the second part we issued, the second set of parts we issued out, actually 4 of them. So 5 total parts between June and July was a new chunk of 4 accent rings. And so everybody's kind of been asking and wondering what exactly is coming down the pipeline. There's quite a few things, actually. The next item that's on the chopping block, not chopping block, on the list is going to be, is actually going to end up being a pommel. It'll be the first pommel produced by Corvus Saber Foundry, and it's one of those items that I've been waffling back and forth on whether I actually want to produce one of these, because I think that the pommel end and the emitter end of a lightsaber is one of those really important features where it's kind of the thing that defines it. You know, usually your hands cover up the middle section, so you don't really see a lot of that. But people that like the models, they like to see those things. But the things that you do see are the pommel on the end and the emitter on the top. And so it's been one of those, I really have to be pretty inspired to make a pommel or combo work. Stand by one moment. So the getting a pommel or emitter section that I feel works really, really well has been a little bit of a struggle for me, I'll admit, creativity-wise, because there are so many different emitters, and trying to find the right one to release at the right time, whether the market is hot or cold for that particular individual, or not individual, but that particular inspiration. You know, it's just one of those things. With the kind of shoestring budget that I operate on, it's hard to pick and choose which ones are the ones that are going to be the pick for now, for that, you know, for that release or for that section of it. So I've really been trying to figure out which parts to generate next, and my heart is telling me that I need to go back down the path of the basic items and continue producing the adapters and adapter bands and the different pieces and parts and components that we have used in the past to make really good success for the organization, for the business. And so what I what I'm getting to is, like, I really want to make emitters. I want to make something that looks really, really cool, but I guess maybe I'm scared. There's like a 98% excited, like 2% scared, or like a 98% scared, 2% excited. I just don't know. Like, people are hot and cold on emitters. And so you got to really make something that hits hard, and I'm afraid that the things that I make won't necessarily hit hard. So maybe there's some trepidation there about that. But still, there are a lot of different ways that you can make emitters, and I've seen a lot of people making emitters, so we'll get to it eventually. It's one of those things. The pommel piece, I do want to show you, whoops, rest in peace, ears. The pommel piece that I made is a direct inspiration off of the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the Phantom Menace, and so it's a pretty cool look. And one of the really cool features of this piece, and I'm really excited about it, is that you could put this onto, say for example, like a switch, or you could put it on top of. I'll just put it on a switch here, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. We should actually transition over to the other view here. Let me give you a second here. I got some production value I added in here. So here it is. I switched the scene over to the other side. I'll just grab my microphone here really quick, and I'll drag it over this way. Hopefully it doesn't make a ton of noise in your ear, no feedback. But one of the things that I really like about this piece is that it's a pseudo thin neck. It literally is exactly like a thin neck in pretty much all regards. In fact, it was one of the driving components. Not really driving components. It was one of like the driving thoughts when I was making my thin neck, which has been pretty successful. People love it. Everybody's enjoying it, and they're making all kinds of wild builds with it. But one of the overwhelming thoughts was, do I make this thin neck in 3 pieces? Do I make it in one? Which way do I go? And so like the complexity of the thin neck needs to really be in 3 pieces, because there are a lot of really cool components that you can make with it. But there are, really cool combinations that you can make with it. But there are also a lot of really cool things that you can do with an adapter, right? So by taking the internal diameter down just a little bit to where it's smaller than what we normally work with at that 1-inch space, we get to a spot where we have something that's almost like a thin neck. It behaves in the same way. You have to have a pass-through to make it work. And I know a lot of people might not like that, but you're going to be able to get some deeper cuts into the material and give it a much different look. I realize my light here is a little bit bright, and it's really working against me here. So I'll try and turn this down just a smidge so that you can see some of the variation on it. But the look that you get here is actually pretty nice. I'm pretty happy with that, with the way that is. You can flip this over too. Most of my parts have an asymmetrical design to it. That's fully intentional, and I want it to be that way. Flip this over the other direction, and you have a completely different look. This particular part is a little bit different in the top and bottom of it. This piece here is 2.25 millimeters, and the lower piece down here is also like 3.25. So it's a little bit different than what our normal, the normal basic layouts are. So if you look at the majority of my parts, there's usually a band at the top and bottom of the female parts and the male parts that are representative of that 2.25 millimeter standard that I put into them, so that they interact well with all of these accent rings. And so here's a really good example here. You can see how flush that sits, and that's part of the design elements for this set, is so that it interacts nicely and gives you a nice seamless look if you really want something for your accent rings. I'm really excited about these. There was a little bit of a snafu with the tolerances on the parts, so I went ahead and talked to the factory and told them I wanted them to fix it. So they're working on the fix right now, and should see something, I want to say probably this week sometime, potentially next week at the latest. But in the in-between time, in the intervening periods, I'll be working on a couple of different options as well to start submitting forward. And a lot of people are wondering when I'm going to get back to shrouds, and I would love to get back to shrouds. They just tend to be really expensive, and with all the runs that we've been pushing right now, for all the smaller things, I've been going through a lot of working capital to make those happen. And so I'm hoping that that once I start getting these pommels on board and everything kind of working ahead, that we'll start seeing a little bit more, a few more purchases. We'll start getting some more advertising going, and we'll begin that self-sustaining cycle again. I fully acknowledge that the market is really crappy right now. Everybody's hurting in the pockets. There's a lot of issues with. Oh snaps! I got OMG in here. So you couldn't find the live for a second. I don't know why I was doing that. I guess I need to put it up in all the other places where I work at. And I did realize that I didn't put it into the Facebook message, so I apologize for that. That's my bad. As soon as I hit save, or not save, as soon as I hit publish, I realized that I didn't have the link for the stream in there. So I was like, crap. I guess I got to fix that. So welcome. Thank you for coming and joining me and spending your Saturday evening with me. We're just sitting down talking about some stuff, the parts releases, the things that are coming. And so I did say that there was going to be a Let's Design tonight in, I think, the post. And so we'll be working on whatever comes up. And hopefully I can field some questions and comments from people in the stream. I'm starting to get more people, more viewers. And I like that. I like to be able to chat with people and engage. It makes it a lot more fun than me just talking to myself and showing you my things. So I want to give a special shout out to Just Jordan Things. He is not a new member. He's kind of lurked in the server for quite a while. But he and I have been having a lot of good discussions about Saber builds and designs. And one of the things he came up with over the weekend, or over the course of the week, he showed off in the Discord was apparently the Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck is actually cross-compatible with a couple of different items. And that wasn't done intentionally. It just so happens to be. And I thought that you guys should know about it. If you're a VHC adherent like I am, you like it when parts work together and are playable, like cross-playable into other things. And so one of the things I'm going to show you here, and I hope that it shows up all right. You can barely see it. I got to turn my light up because it's black on black. So what I have here in my hand is actually the, oh gosh, I can't think of the dang name of it. It's going to elude me. I got to look it up. Just give me a second here. I got to go over to the Vire Sabers website. I've worked with them. I won't say worked with. That's maybe not the right term now. But I've been associated with them in the past, and I've been a strong supporter of them because of what they've done and what they do. And so I periodically go over there and peep what kind of new products they have coming out. And one of the products that they had is the Tavros, which was like the first thin neck lightsaber that LGT produced that wasn't like a character saber. It was basically like a off the shelf lightsaber, right? And so you can kind of see I had it on the screen there attached to something else, but basically Vire was one of the first to break down the Tavros into its three components, or realizing that it could break down into its three components. And so you have like an upper grip kind of adapter piece that comes off, and then you have a neck, just like the way the Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck is designed, and the emitter section, right? And these are the same thread on both ends, which is interesting because that's how I designed mine, and it just so happens that the Tavros thread is the same thread as my thread. And so it was an absolute happy accident to find this out. I think that it's freaking awesome that that's the case, and they are mostly cross-compatible if you're interested in it, right? So I see a second person has joined us. Welcome and thank you for your time on this beautiful Saturday evening. But for what you see here, the Tavros fits the Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck pretty much perfectly. It doesn't quite have the same features that the Corvus thin neck bases have, but if you wanted something to change it up and put it on the in-between pieces of your lightsaber, of your Tavros, you could absolutely put those in. Hey Ron, welcome. I appreciate your time. It's a lot of the same faces that end up showing up in my space, so I really appreciate you guys coming out and supporting. It means a ton to me, and the fact that you're in my Discord and you're in my streams all the time is really meaningful. I appreciate it. But still, I wasn't ever really a huge fan of Tavros. I bought it because I thought the thin neck part would be really cool, and then I stopped using it because it was kind of flimsy, and I wasn't like a huge fan of it after I handled it for a while. I thought that it needed a little bit of work, but as it turns out, those threads are fully cross-compatible, so you could put just about any of my thin neck threads or threaded parts into that space, and next thing you know, you got yourself a whole new lightsaber, right? This one looks just a little bit different, but still awesome in that same regard. You know, yeah, there've been a ton of new parts that have come out, and you're not wrong, dude. Like a lot of those, a lot of those parts have come a long ways. You know, thin necks have come a long ways, and this actually, I guess, could technically be an upgrade on this if you really wanted to. I've got one more. I think I've got one more of my thin necks around here somewhere. I don't know where I put it. It might be over in the picture space. I was trying to take some new pictures of stuff, get some new things out. Yeah, I don't see it over here. I'm not going to go chase it down to look for it, but my point is that those thin necks on the Tavros are swappable out, and you can put the Corvus Saber Foundry thin necks into the Tavros and make it, like, I don't want to say 100% better, but at least 30% more cool. I don't even know if it's more cool. It just has 30% more Corvus Saber Foundry parts in it than it had previously. And so in the same regard, if those threads are matched, they also fit into the Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck bases. Now, they don't have the same depth of thread penetration, so I can't warrant this and say that it's a good decision to do so. But it is possible if you just wanted a regular old straight neck. Now, I will preface all of this, not preface, but I will lead some of this and say that I will have a perfect straight neck here coming in one of the cycles. I don't know when. You know, obviously there's some mystery behind it because I don't disclose everything up front, but I don't know when that's coming. I really want to produce like a Luke neck or a Obi-Wan neck before I chase anything else, just because I want to say I did it. But bottom line, you have options available to you now, and if I put it on here as my grenade grip, you can now see what that looks like on the grenade grip. Yeah, it's not terrible looking. I actually think it's pretty nice. All the way around, pretty solid contribution to it. Now, like I said, it's kind of hard to see. I don't know if the camera will focus in on it. It won't. You can see there's a little gap here, and that gap that you see in between there is where the thin neck, where the Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck friction chamfer fits. And so basically the torquing on this is basically thread to thread. The thread is grounding out on the actual body, the thread body. See here, the thread of this male adapter, or this thin neck male base, is grounding against the body of this component here. And so I would definitely be careful, maybe use some Teflon tape if you're going to use that. But if you end up ruining your male or female bases from Corvus Saber Foundry with this neck, I can't be responsible for that, even though I showed you just now. It's just a really cool possibility of something if you're making like a pretty saber, or you're doing something that, you know, is a little bit outside of the pale, I guess we'll say. And you want something just a little bit different. I like it. I think it's freaking cool. I love it when things work out like a happy little mistake, so to speak. So really excited about it. I think that you guys are going to have some really cool options coming up here in the very near future, brought on by me and brought on by whatever else ends up happening. You know, so let's see, what else are we talking about? I kind of did discuss the adapter here. Again, I said the factory made a mistake when they cut the threads on the inside of this female and on the male of this one. I think it's actually the male that was out of spec. It was out of tolerance by quite a bit. So I gave them new drawings, and I told them to remake them. And I said, I don't think that I should have to pay for this. So I'm hoping that they send me something pro bono because they messed up the tolerances a little bit. They were out of tolerance on the female threads for this component here. So I'm really hoping that they honor that. They've been pretty good about it so far. They're reproducing all of the bad or like the Obi-Wan Kenobi grip factory seconds that I've been selling. They are reproducing all of those factory seconds as main, as replacements for all of the items that we identified as being out of tolerance or had blemishes that came straight from the factory that way. So they're working on that. And my hope is that when this thing arrives, it's going to be a really nice addition. I'll start selling them in bundles, probably as like a pommel bundle with like one of these, and an accent ring. So if you haven't seen them or you don't know about them, the accent rings here, are really nice additions to this. If it was just plain, that's okay too. It looks pretty good, but I think it looks a lot better with an accent ring attached to it. So here's that. You can get an idea on what that's supposed to look like right there. Came out pretty nice. Oh, I'm dropping people like flies. I guess I'm really, really boring. All right. Well, we're going to move on to something else here and find new things to explore and play with. So I'm going to switch scenes and move myself back over this way and get us back into this chat. So as I discussed, the new parts that are coming, they're supposed to be here, hoping here short order, probably by the mid part of August. We'll have those new parts in hand and ready to go. And then start talking about kind of what's going on the site. So the website itself has been going through a lot of developments. You guys might have seen. I've added in a lot of hopefully like helpful developments, like helpful items to increase like interaction with the parts before you end up getting the parts like for your lightsabers. So I ended up going through I think Sketchfab. Yeah, Sketchfab was the website, and picked up a free subscription to just try it out and see if it was something that you guys enjoyed or liked working with. And so as I begin to move forward, I'm going to start adopting and putting in these new 3D designs that you'll see at the very top of the, basically at the very top of the product page that you'll be able to interact with in all of those parts. So I'm really excited to get those going. There's also an API to be able to make your own kind of like lightsaber part, or like, I don't want to say lightsaber parts, but basically like a configurator. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I have to design it with JavaScript. I don't know JavaScript, so I have to teach myself. And presumably the hosting of that would be pretty expensive. So it might be a future state thing, but the good thing is that I have all of my, I basically have all of my like 3D assets that are available to me. So like I own them, I get to make them and manipulate them. And so it's just as easy to transfer them in and start working with them. I'm really sorry. My eyes are bugging me right now. I had my allergy medicine and I didn't take it today apparently. So it's really getting to me. My eyes are getting really dry sitting down here. And I don't know if it's just like the air conditioner or what, but it's just a thing. Hopefully you can't hear too much of it because it's in the background, but it's literally right behind me in the wall, basically, where the signage is hung. And so it's either I'm also really tired or my eyes are just bugging because of the allergies. But either way, it's all good. Stand by one. All right, we're back. Thanks for hanging around, Ron. I appreciate you. Oh, looks like we picked up somebody else too. Maybe somebody else. I'm not sure. I just one of the things that's kind of getting me is I don't know how we get more people to the stream, aside from just blowing up the internet and letting people know what's out there, I guess. So maybe one day we'll get more than a handful of viewers, but we'll see what happens. I guess I don't announce it well enough or advertise it well enough. It's on the website, and I usually try to put it out the same day that we do the cast, but I just don't want people to be overwhelmed by all the stuff that I do, or I try to do, or attempt to do. Although I have been kind of absent the last couple of weeks when it comes to like presence in the community. I do interact on Discord a lot. That's my primary means of communicating with customers and the people that I care about. You come to the Discord, we chat. You can shoot me messages. It's open, like wide open. Maybe we'll have like a discussion about like what I think might need to come here in the future, and it might be a thing that'll help level out the development of parts as well. But I don't want to tip my hand too soon and talk about that just yet. So let's see here. I got two guys in chat that pretty much always have something to contribute, so I'm just gonna put that out there. I don't know if I want to dive into like designing emitters tonight. I've got it looks like two. Looks like I have two. Yeah, I guess, you know what, Ron, you're probably right, dude. Most people don't know that somebody is advertising something unless they're banged over the head with it. So maybe I just got to make something that's so blunt and over the top that people will see it and come over and check some stuff out. Oh, hey, Jordan's here. Hey, I actually just called you out, Jordan, and let everybody know about the stuff that you discovered with the thin neck. So if people aren't in the Discord, we talk about all kinds of things and developments. People experiment and do that stuff. Again, I'm going to plug the Discord one more time, because we talk about just about everything that you could possibly talk about there. We've got channels for everything, especially the research and development channel. And so the R&D channel is where we talk about all the cool stuff that's coming from Corvus Saber Foundry, but we also talk about the things that we interact with, the other Saber parts. And Jordan was one of the guys that identified that the Tavros works, with my Corvus Saber Foundry thin neck combinations. And so props to you for finding that. Had no idea that it was a thing, but I guess it is. Let's see here. Ron says the emitters are the only thing you don't have available at the moment. Yeah, emitters are the only thing I don't have available. The trick is to do one that's different from all those out there. Well, the problem is that I built Alloy on basically on the premise that it fills in gaps that these other companies aren't making, and it essentially changes the, let's say, structure of VHC so that it makes it more versatile. And unfortunately, I just don't like the emitter selection that's out there right now. I just don't have the support to be able to leave it as it is, like solo, right? And so I have to make those things, and in a lot of cases I have to make all of those things, because those pieces, the structured pieces, aren't there. And like one of the things that has developed in my brain is I really don't want the pieces that I make for you guys to be more expensive than the pieces that you can procure right now, right? So if you were to go to like Mystic Knights or Fire Sabers or Dark Wolf and you were to buy an individual emitter, I've got one sitting here. This is the Odyssey, right? If you go and we buy an Odyssey, I don't want the parts that I make to be more expensive than one of these together, right? So you buy one of these by itself, you buy two of my parts separate. I don't want those two parts in combination to be more expensive or priced out of what can already be available, what people can get. And so that's one of the things that's in the forefront of my mind when I'm designing this, is the value there for my customers and the people that I want to buy them, right? And so I'm gonna scene swap here. Hopefully it's not super abrupt. It looked like it was pretty quick, but I've got on my screen now my Fusion 360. It's now halfway through the cast, and so it's a pretty good time to transition to this Let's Design. And yeah, I agree with you, Ron. The keep it simple principle is one of the things that I live by. I do some SharePoint designing for the organization that I work for, and one of the things that I've had to incorporate is the lowest common denominator. And I don't like saying that in a derogatory fashion. It's just there are people that are not as experienced with SharePoint as I am, and so what I think is simple, they might not think is simple. So I have to really distill it down into like the lowest common denominator and make sure that everybody is capable of using it. And so that's really one of the things that I try and keep in mind when I'm building these pieces out for the lightsaber. And so what you have in front of you here is a couple of different designs. I can't remember. I think it was Ambers and Embers was who I was talking to about a design he was looking for one of his emitters. And so, earlier this year, I don't say a competitor, but another LGT or other VHC vendor produced basically emitter cap portion, I think, and it ends up in the space with Fire Sabers. And so, Al Sabers produced one, and I think I've got one in here somewhere. It looks basically like this. It's a little bit taller. It has a little bit different shape to it. This was pretty flat. The design was intentionally flat and purposefully made this way to be as low profile as possible, so that it didn't look like you had anything else extra on top of your lightsaber. Granted, you're going to see it. It's still going to be there, but it was designed to be like really, really tight in shape. And so, I had talked about it on the stream. I had never seen it from anybody else to this point. And then in a couple of weeks' time, or maybe like 3 or 4 months' time, Vire and Al Sabers announces that they're releasing one of these. So I kind of left it on the burner. I haven't really touched it. I want them to have their moment to shine, because I respect what they do. I think that they've done really good work. I just have a ton of these designs already made in order to, you know, basically act on this at this point. So I've got some that look like they're off of another part. This was kind of a bodge off of the thruster top end, and I know that a lot of people like the thruster top end, but the thing that I didn't like about the thruster was that the flat here, or like, I'm sorry, the screw holes here were actually on this angled part, and so it made it impossible for you to put like a emitter shroud or anything against it because it was on the flat. Or it wasn't on the flat, it was on the curve. And so if you tightened it down, your emitter would end up going all wonky, crooked, and it didn't fit correctly. And so I basically kind of took that design, that idea, and manipulated it to put the anchoring threads on the flats, on a flat, so that they're nice and level, and then put a nice little chamfer on it so that it looked prettier. And I like to think a little bit higher quality. When you look at some of the thread holes for like what you find on VHC currently, you don't find those chamfers typically. I don't see them. Someone might see them, but I don't see them when I look at them. And so in my opinion, it smooths that entry into the hole. And if there's one thing I know in life, anything that smooths the entry into the hole makes it nice and easy and simpler to operate. So anyways, moving on. I have those two kind of in the pipe here, and then another one that kind of came up is also this Menace. I like the tip, like the top of the Menace. It's one of my favorite designed, I guess we'll say thin neck, or like, I don't want to say thin neck, but emitter designs with a dish. It's kind of interesting on whichever way you want to flip it, but I traditionally tend to think of the emitters with the wide dish at the top as like a thin neck versioned emitter, and so I see the Menace emitter as a thin neck. Well, anyways, I think that the top part of it deserves a little bit of attention. I thought that it looked really cool, and so I've got kind of a Menace version here that's on the burner that could go. Not that is a pretty front end to a hill. I don't know if I understand what that's to, Ron. I don't know if that's what I understand what that's in reference, but I like the front end on the Menace. I think that it looks really cool. Not that is a pretty. Ooh, oh no, now that's a pretty front. Yeah. It's one of the more complex ones that I've got in the bevy of designs here, and so this cap actually again came from another design that I liked from Ambers and Embers. And if I had a picture, I could show you guys what it looked like. But this is basically, this would basically go into something like this to make a really simple looking. I think the inspiration for this was like a garden hose, one of those quick disconnect garden hose ends, and so it has that kind of like shape to it in there. So I'm trying to get it as close as I can. There it goes. You can kind of see that quick disconnect style a little bit. Let's see the slap in there. The slap in. Yeah, he liked the Menace. So the Menace hits. Okay, I like it. It's got fire. It's pretty cool. So this is a pretty simple slant, and I think that it's like not quite to the level of having like a Suba. It's actually, I think, maybe a little bit closer. Let me see what the diameter is here. It's 42 millimeters in diameter, so it's a little bit closer to, what do I got around here? Let me find it here. It's actually, nope, it's less than that even. It is closer to, not you. I don't know, I can't find it. It's less than what we currently have, but it's probably about what the Tavros is, I think. Let me see. It's a little shy of the Tavros, like for the shape. Let's see, if you Google flash hiders and look at the image results, lots of ideas for emitter shapes. Yeah, dude, you're not wrong. I definitely feel that. You know, honestly, I do a lot of research inside the community. And so when I'm in like the ULC, when I'm in Vader's Vault, I'm always looking at what people are generating for their builds and their emitters and things and shapes that look really cool. And it might not be like the whole emitter right? It might be like one small shape that I like out of it that I want to expand on and make something more different or more interesting. And I've kept a lot of these shapes relatively simple and straightforward for a reason. I think that a lot of the details come out when people start modifying and adding the stuff to them themselves. And so that was the simple slant that I kicked out there. Let me see if I can find what else I got in here. I've got another one somewhere. Oh man, I got a lot in here. So one of the shapes that I really liked also was the whirlwind. I actually adore the shape of the whirlwind end. It has like a really cool, like almost hose end or like rounded, a rounded end to it. And so I dropped one of these out here, and so I'm really big fan of this. I think that it looks good, and it would complement basically any sort of build that you were to put together. Of course, the downfall to these is that they're male adapters, and so one of the cruxes of the system is here trying to figure out whether or not you want to put the emitter on as a male adapter or as a female adapter. So all of these on this are essentially the finish, the final end. This is the tip of the lightsaber. It says it's almost the same as like the pommel, at least in the way that I'm seeing it. But these are the actual like end pieces that would be on the end of the lightsaber. So underneath of it, like if you were to put something like let's see, I've got a couple of different shapes in here that I like. So one of these was like this. This was inspired from the group. Somebody made basically an emitter off of the Monarch, and I really like that idea. I've always been a fan of it, and I basically take like the rough shape of the Monarch. This isn't an exact shape, but made the rough shape of the Monarch here as a female end as the penultimate shape, basically the second to last shape on the lightsaber, like on the end of the lightsaber. And so this whirlwind emitter ring is essentially to be used I don't disagree with that. I think I think the female, excuse my cough there, the female with the majority of parts, and the very last piece that gets anchored on here being, the end of the lightsaber. These might not go together particularly well because they're just not shaped for one another necessarily, but they are. This kind of illustrates that design idea that I had was, if you have a I'll say like I guess a Suba end. Let's call it a Suba for what it's worth. If you have an end that is going to act like a Suba or is going to be like the flange end of the lightsaber, having it set as the like second to last in a female design, and then putting a male component to the top of it as the final like last piece that goes on, it makes a lot of sense to me. And so this bears about the same diameter as the Monarch emitter end, or excuse me, the Monarch pommel end, and so it has the female threads to it, as well as the double female ends and the shape of that Monarch, which I again really liked. I've been trying to find a way to cross utilize my Monarchs as well, and so that's on my radar, stuff to play with. Let me put something else on this and just give it another look, give it another glance, so you guys can see it with the Type 1. So again, the Type 1 indicative of like the easiest and cheapest version that I can make to satisfy the need. You can kind of see it there, low profile, something easy. Oh man, you're not even lying. So Jordan was like, you'd be surprised at what you get when you chop up a part. 100% not wrong. I first got my start doing basically all of my lightsaber designs that you see. So if you go back and you look on the Corvus Saber Foundry Facebook page, you'll see all of the designs that I did. Like almost all of those involved like chopping up parts, and I was probably among one of the first people to start doing it. And I'm not like trying to break my arm, patting myself on the back, but there weren't very many people at the time chopping up VHC parts to make different things. And as Ron and I kind of came on the scene about the same time, chopping stuff up in the Vire space, and so like, we started playing around in that area, and it just kind of developed into whatever it is at this point. But there's a lot of chop that happens that that you can come up with a whole bunch of different designs on things. In fact, like one of the pieces that I love in here, and it became it basically became like Genesis essentially, is this piece right here, and this is the threaded leftovers of one of the parts that I chopped up that ended up becoming, if I can find the part, I don't have it over here, that I ended up putting together with Vire's stealth adapter, which ended up creating essentially the prototype for what we currently have as the male adapters that are on my store. And so this is Genesis. I've kept this part around as a reminder to let me know, hey, don't forget about where you came from. The parts that you've cut up and the parts that you've played with are what got you to this point today, right? And so it's been ground down and made pretty so that I can put it into different things. But I don't have a female adapter. Oh wait, there I do, right there. I have a male from what looks like, if I can get it, to thread here. There it goes. Yep, there it is. Okay, so that should be pretty close to what it looks like, right? That was the original, and that was what I was going to go with, but I couldn't get it trimmed down far enough. Couldn't get it trimmed down far enough on the belt sander before I lit my fingers on fire, so I stopped that. Anyways, you know, a lot of these shapes are pretty standard to what you've already seen, and they pay homage to kind of where I've been in the community too as well, right? So among these parts, let's see, let me pull out the Type 2. So here's one. This part in the genesis of this shape actually comes from Vire's, oh my gosh, my brain stopped working, their choke. The shape of this is reminiscent of the inner part of the choke, right? And one of the sabers that I made, I chopped the choke in half and I made it into a emitter section for a lightsaber I did on a commission. It was actually the crossguard commission that I did. So I had chopped the top off of it basically to make an emitter section out of it, like the tip of the emitter. And I thought that it was super cool at the time. And so, you know, this is an homage to that structure and that design that I put together in that shape there. You see, is that the same one? It is the same one. Let's get out there. Got the Type 2 in there. Got the Type 3 out here. I think this was just a plain, simple, like top end on it. And I figured that if you really wanted to, you could cover up, you could cover up the pieces with either an emitter, not an emitter, but like a cap or some such, if you really wanted to, right? And so this was literally just a straight. There's gonna be some shape changes probably before I start playing with these to really make them. But the one piece that I'm kind of stuck at, right, is what about the shapes underneath of it? What do we want to look at on the underside? And so, you know, I want to start playing around with what the shapes look like from the underneath. Like what other pieces fill in this gap down here, because the emitter is only for most VHC formats, your emitter is essentially only about it's like 64 or 65 millimeters, and so you got a lot of space underneath of it to play with and develop and come up with something. And while the female designs that I do have in those spaces, some of them are small, like the stuff that are currently in existence are pretty small. I do have some other items that I need to get developed to fill out the rest of that space. And so, like some of these pieces, let's see here. I already showed you guys the whirlwind, I think. Let's see, we talked about the whirlwind. I'll give you a couple of looks at those. This is one that I kind of put together, which was a flanged piece, and if that looks kind of familiar, that is kind of a mix of the this is a mix of the, let's see here, the Monarch palmitter, we'll call it. Yeah, this is kind of a mix of two of them, like the actual emitter and like a cap or like a banded kind of one. And so the cool part here is this recess. I really like this recess because it gives you some option. It's 16 millimeters, and if that number makes sense to you, it should, because 16 millimeters is the length of one of my Type 1 female body segments. So a Type 1 body segment will nestle inside of this and kind of hide if you wanted to make it a lot shorter with a like thin neck or something like that poking out from underneath of it. The layered effect is what I was going for. And so if you use a longer piece like the Type 5, or excuse me, like a Type 2, or even like a Type 3, you would be able to get that layered effect for this emitter section to make it just look a little bit different than your contemporaries. And my thought process here is, in the future, you know, there's going to be options available, and I have some adapters. And what you'll see in this adapter set when I open this is there are a ton of different shaped adapters, like not shaped, but different lengths and diameter adapters, right? And so a lot of the really nuances of Star Wars lightsabers, like I should say of lightsabers, comes from the depth and how those parts are arranged, right? And so one of the things that I really wanted to get to is this, like, this ability to build something that has, gosh darn it, it flipped, that has depth behind these parts, right? And so what I'm going to do here is just slide this up inside here about half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boop. Okay. So that actually is a little bit deeper than I wanted it to be. Let me swap that out of here. That doesn't work. Then you grab the 20 or 25. Let's do a 25. What I was saying is one of the things that I really like about the way Star Wars design language is that it really shows a depth to the way the parts are arranged, and that depth is what gives the character to the parts, right? And so when you look at this, it doesn't look like much from the outside. Geez, it's just an adapter stuffed onto an emitter. But when you start turning it and you see that it's something that's nestled inside of there, and there's a gap, that gap like makes you wonder like how these pieces are connected, or maybe like makes you want to know like where this part came from or why it's nestled inside of here, right? And you can do this with a whole bunch of different parts. Like this is one of the coolest parts I think about what I'm trying to get to here is making things that look like they belong inside of the Star Wars universe without being overcomplicated. And that's really what I think that some of the lightsaber manufacturers, I don't want to say fail at, but forget maybe, is that you don't have to overcomplicate the pieces involved to make something that is more complicated, the sum of its parts, right? And so in this scenario, we have an adapter that's 25 millimeters long by 31 and a half in diameter, but I suddenly have an emitter part that looks so much more complicated than what the emitter originally looked like. And I don't know who just joined us, but I appreciate you for coming to check out the cast. We're now at 4. We're almost to like legend status, so the more people that come to the cast, the better. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you see something that you like here tonight. And so I've been on this like rampage to tell people, not even rampage, but I've been on this diatribe to tell people, hey, your lightsaber designs don't have to be overcomplicated, right? Dude, yeah, 100% Obi-Wan stuff was all just junk drawer stuff, right? And so like it doesn't have to be overcomplicated to make something that's really effective and cool looking. And so I've just been on this, like, I don't want to say warpath, but I've been on this path to try and make as many of these simple objects. And at face value, you guys might come and look at them and be like, that's just a straight tube, man. Like, give me something more than I can work with. But really, all of the things that were made in Star Wars are, I can officially be on a tirade, maybe. What about a crusade? Like, we could start a crusade. Let's rattle the swords. Let's do some saber rattling and start a crusade for this, right? My position here is that you don't have to go out of your way to make really overcomplicated parts that look cool initially. Although admittedly, people want to buy those things. You can combine all these things together and make your own lightsaber in ways that no one else could even come up with for you, right? And so, like, I got this idea to do a 25 millimeter piece here, or you can do, you could stuff. Let's go up here. Let's go find something fun. Let's go find. Let me go find the accent. Oh, where'd they go? Alloy extensions and chokes. Let's go in here. Let's go play around with something. I got a choke here. Let's go to the choke type one. Let's just stuff this in here and see what that looks like, right? So now all of a sudden we got something that's a whole lot different, right? Whole other look. But now it looks completely different, but it's literally just changing one simple part for something else. Oh, nice. You guys are good. I appreciate you. So, like when you go and look at something like this, it doesn't look like much at face value. The two of these pieces together look like nothing at all, right? One's a choke, like, yeah, cool, whatever. This other one's just an emitter piece. But when you put them together, that's where some magic starts to happen. Now it looks like something that could be out of Star Wars. This could be like a coupler pipe. It could be all kinds of things. And it really fits into the world, in my opinion, in my world, my brain, that this is something that belongs in Star Wars, and it's something that belongs in my hand because it's my lightsaber. And so you could really do this with just about anything, right? I've got a handful of parts in here that fit. Here's a piece from oh man, is that a Type 3 from the thruster? This is a thruster piece. So I made a point of breaking down like the thruster, all of the different chokes in the thruster to make something different. And so these look very similar to what I currently have as the female. They're just a little bit different and off because I made them before I started laying out all of the profiling and stuff for the system, right? And so I've got 3 more like choke segments here that are all kind of thruster adjacent, we'll call it, and they're designed to mimic all the different segments of the thruster. You could separate them by male adapters if you really wanted to. So some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, but they're all basically similar in shape to what you had available on the thruster. And so you could combine any number of these. They're a little too close in my opinion to be like all released by me. I could probably do one of them, but they're really close in design to what you had from, the Cohen. Basically the Type 1 or the Cohen choke. So they're pretty close in design. It's so close that I probably don't need to release them. But, you could come up with some designs like this to fit into those gaps in the spaces. Let's see. Those are both thruster 3s. I put out 2 thruster 3s. How did I do that? Let me see. Get that out of here. Put the 2 in there. That's the one that I wanted anyways. Yeah, that's the one. That one looks cooler. So I like that thruster too. It has a different shape than the other two. It's a little bit further off from the Type 1 choke that we've got here. You see it labeled as the Cohen choke because it's inspired by one of the shapes. It looked closest after I designed it to one of the things that Starfall had designed. And so I just named it after Nick because I thought that it was nice. But anyways, this choke is just a little bit different than these other two. And you could still tuck that one up inside of there if you wanted to. And it should show pretty easily. Let me just dunk these out of here really quick. And so, one of the things that I've been trying to get at is that, the emitter section of your lightsaber is like one of the more unique segments that everybody has to look at, everybody gets to play with, and trying to find a happy medium where you're not you don't feel like a try hard designing the parts. Like I don't want to try super hard to make an emitter. I don't think you have to do that. You just need the right pieces to do so. Yeah, the struggle for me is finding the exact right piece that I want to release to make this a possibility. So what you got here is the Siege. It's supposed to be a mix up on the Siege choke. No, I don't want to say choke. I want to say like the Siege. So if you guys remember the Siege switch from Vire Sabers, there's a section on the bottom of it that is in a bronze color, and I really liked that section. I thought that it was really, really cool, and some of the other people that are they might be in the chat like it too. But it was something that I wanted to design to bring into alloy as a part that should be in there because it's a really cool minor component of the Saber, right? And so I made this version of it. It needs some tweaks now that I've had the system in hand for a little while, but you can kind of see what that one would look like attached to it. I was going to make this a Let's Design, but it's been fun enough just playing with these. I've come to the realization that I have all the pieces available at hand that I need, right? I've got all of the stuff to make a selection of emitters for you guys and get them produced in pretty good time, I think. I just have to jump on it and get it done because time's wasting, I guess. I don't want to say time's wasting, but things are moving behind the scenes that I don't know about, and I think that if I wait too much longer on an emitter, then I'm gonna miss that opportunity. But I do want to produce it in sections, right, in segments and different pieces, so that it is exactly what I want it to be. I just think that I've got enough stuff to be able to do it now at this point, I suppose. One of the pieces that I've had kind of in the burner for a really long time, and I'm going to show you guys this, is this guy right here. This one is one of the very first pieces I designed. This is actually it's kind of a combination piece. It is a, I guess you guys might be able to tell what it is. It's the in-between piece. You know, we were talking about like what should go on like what end of the lightsaber and when for that emitter part. Exactly. I think Ron has hit his prophetic stage. I'm not 100% sure, but this component here is actually is supposed to be off of the Galen Merrick Starkiller Saber from The Force Unleashed 2. And this was supposed to be an emitter section that would play nicely with a top layer here, and then subsequently play nice with the Galen Merrick emitter shroud that Vire had released. Because I thought people wanted to have a TFU2 styled emitter. And actually, after I've looked at this a little bit, it might be one of those things that becomes an adapter in between. I'm not going to make a Galen Merrick. There's already one, like, you know, there's Vire has their like Unleashed shroud that's out there. I don't really want to make one. I don't want to step on those toes just yet. But the way that this is shaped, I really like it. I think that it looks good. It's actually scaled for VHC in length to be the emitter. It just needs a cap on the end of it and something to hold the shroud. Let's see what the shape is here. This is 33. Yeah, this is 33 millimeters. So the Galen Merrick shroud, or the Unleashed shroud that Vire produced, is, I think it's 36.15 or 33, or I'm sorry, 37 maybe as the outer diameter. But either way, it's intended to play nice because it fits the VHC paradigm. And you can see it's even in the old style that I had made, which was I didn't model the actual threads off of it. So just something that's been hanging out back there, and I've been meaning to make it. I think that it would be fun to have. But really, the shapes that are underneath of this are what's going to make up and change what the emitter section is going to look like the most. Like the tip of it is like one iconic part, but an emitter is really a piece that is the sum of its parts. And if you can make an emitter out of multiple pieces, you get to emitters that have just a little bit more depth to them. I realize I've been on a rant about that now for about 15-20 minutes, so I really appreciate you guys sustaining that and sitting through all of my craziness here. I feel like I'm preaching to the choir of all the people that talk about layers and all the things that we've discussed so far tonight. Let's take a little dive here on one more piece. So some of you might have seen this. I had made a what amounts to a Luminara piece, and this is basically the same shape and structure for Luminara Unduli. And I'd like to. This is one of the pieces that is pretty iconic, I think, across all of these. Also related to it is the Kit Fisto, and these are all kind of in that clan space, right? And I love clan lightsabers. I think they're cool. I think they'll have really great design language. Excuse me. They all have really great design language, and they all share some really great designs. So, like, you know, this piece here is kind of multifaceted as well. I called this the Syndralig emitter piece, and this is one of the emitter sections that really deviates quite a bit from my intended design plan. And so it actually utilizes the classic VHC like male-female shape, but there's a reason behind that. And I think I talked about it in one of the previous episodes. Where the design on this is actually like a many-part component, right? And so when you look at some of the Syndralig parts, there's this section that's underneath of that looks like there's like this depression space where there's a whole bunch of like holes in it. And so this component, being one of the only pieces that is shaped like this, is designed to create this. Oh, shit. Pardon my French. It's getting late and I'm getting tired. This was designed to create this really cool layered effect. And you can do this with either one of them in either way, or either shape. The depth is enough that you could put all of these together as one layer for like a kit fisto, or you could add this ring for a Cinderelig, and you can get this shape kind of inside of it. And so it acts like an accent ring. It acts as an accent ring. It is set at 29.5 millimeters, so it actually fits exactly like an accent ring does, but it doesn't have the same structure as an accent ring. And so you can keep layering this component as many times as you want to make what amounts to a Cinderelig emitter ring, right? Or emitter segment. Each of these kind of layering on top of one another. I don't know if Ron caught this in the first go. I can't tell if that's thunder and lightning going on or something else. It sounded like a chair being rattled across the floor, but it sounded exactly like lightning. Let me get rid of this Luminara really quick. And so, I think this is the max layer that you would get with a Cinderelig, and it's about scaled the same way that it would be. And I think I have a Cindy ring down here somewhere. Where did I put it? There's another one. I've got a cap around here that has Cinderelig on it. That is the cap to be used for this one. I don't know where it's at right offhand. I think it actually uses the Luminara cap on it. Yeah, you could use the Luminara cap for it. But basically, gives you the opportunity to make a really nuanced sort of structure here for an emitter section. And you kind of come away with like a kit fisto sort of look off of that. And so, it wouldn't be terribly hard to make this. They're each kind of their own individual part, but this is just one example of a deviation from the alloy system that I built, in that it doesn't use the typical layout that you would see. But this is basically just a bunch of emitter caps on top of each other to make another emitter, essentially. I thought it looked cool enough to show you guys, and I showed it one time previously. But it has an opportunity to be kind of cool, I guess. I think I'm pretty happy with it. I'm trying to find out where I put that stinking thing at. No. There's a very small number of people that are like clan adherents in the lightsaber community, and so I thought that this was just really cool, a nice ad. You can't put anything on it when it comes to like shrouding or anything like that. So, I didn't make any effort to make it shroudable. But this is basically the gist of it. And if you started building out down below it, you could put in a smaller. I'm starting to run long here, but you could put in a smaller body segment. I'm trying to find the body segments now. I don't know if I have a body segment in here that's small enough. I don't. Trying to find it. I don't know where I put it. Trying to find where I put it. I guess you could put one of these on here. You could you probably find a smaller body segment to fit that, and start making like some variations in diameter that are a little bit more closely related to the clan design to be able to affect that look, whatever you wanted out of it. So just some ideas. I think based on what I've shown you guys tonight, I think that I have enough stuff to be able to make several emitter sections. Probably some refinements that go into them to make them look a little bit closer to emitters than anything. Let me throw that in here really quick. We were just talking about it. I was actually going to say a choke would probably look good. It probably does look good, just like what yours looked like. Whoops. Let's do a 90.5. Shapow. Okay, there it is. Right there. Just like so. Oof, Ron, easy, dude. There's kids in the channel. You know, that actually might need to be a wider diameter. I'm not for certain. It probably needs to be closer to 40 or 42. Now that I look at it, it might not be hard to achieve that, honestly. But I was trying to keep it close to what the kit Fisto was based on the shape and specs. So it might actually need to be a little bit wider. We'll see what happens. I'm not there yet. I'm not 100% there with it. I still like it. I think that it looks cool. I especially like the detail inside of those. It would look really cool when it's lit or ignited. But like I was saying, it's reasonable to assume that I'm to the point where I probably have enough parts to make the stuff that you guys want to see. For some emitters, I probably just need to pull the trigger on it and put some out there to test it out. And to be honest with you, the emitters that come out are probably going to be closer aligned with what is already available as like what's in universe, right? So something that is something that's a little bit closer to like a thin neck emitter, and something that's a little bit closer to like a regular style, like straight emitter, or a couple of items like that, just to keep it something that's a little bit safer. I don't want to put out this Cinderella just yet because it has a little bit of work that needs to be done to it, and also it's really, really niche. Like, not a lot of people know who Cinderella is. Not a lot of people like I don't know if there's not a lot of people, but there's probably a smaller number of people that like the Kit Fisto lightsaber, and so it's kind of like a 50-50 right now on whether or not I want to push the release of something like this. But anyways, I've gone about 5 to 10 minutes over where I'm supposed to be for my cast. I didn't do all on the parts, all on the table. Let's see. One of these coming casts, you should have an all on the table night where you have all of your parts sitting there ready for caffeine-fueled crazy random building ideas. That sounds like fun. I think I've done that before. We talked about it. I do 2 casts a month. And so I try to fit in all the news and stuff for you guys, and do all these things, as well as do things that fit that need as well. And so I guess one night, what you don't see over here on this screen, let me show you. What you don't see over here on this screen is directly to that side is all of my parts, and directly to this side is all of the Vire parts that I have that I play around with. And then usually smattered around in this space is like all of the parts that I've been playing with and using and just haven't had a chance to put away. So like I do pretty routinely pull out a lot of the parts to play with them. There's so many parts to play with. It would consume like a 4-hour cast. I'd probably have to do a 4-hour cast to do something like that. But anyways, again, I want to thank all of you guys. It's always great to have people on the cast to talk to and to give feedback and let me know, what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, and how you're going to use my parts in the future. So again, heartfelt thank you. I appreciate all of you. Thank you for showing to the cast. Thank you for your time and energy and effort and all of those things. I'm going to go ahead and sign off for now. It's Tim. This is the Corvus Cast. Come on back next cycle, 2 weeks time, same channel. You guys will see me doing more talks about this, and hopefully I'll have a pommel in my hand that we can use on the bottom of the lightsaber. So I'm out. I'll catch you guys later. Caca! See you guys later.